Boom. And just like that, John, how you doing, man? You're on mute.
There we go. Good morning, Ed. How are you, sir?
I am well. Nice to see you.
Likewise, thank you.
I actually was going to switch things up today. Normally I cover a topic and the scripts and dialogues that go along with it, but today I was going to try Stump the Band and just see, are there any particular circumstances that you've faced or are facing that you'd like to know what I would say?
Yeah, in reference to objections in general, or just yeah, just so I think the biggest objection I'm facing right now, Ed, is when I'm making my calls is yeah, so gonna wait for the holidays. Gonna wait for the holidays to kind of do their thing and then jump back on the train in early 2026. I'd be curious to know what your objection is to a client that says, "Hey, I'm ready to do it, but just want to wait for these holidays to kind of
Yeah,
pass us and move along."
that's a great one. And actually,
Yeah.
I kind of covered it over the last few weeks. We've been touching on it because that time of year.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume it's buyers that you're referring to,
Correct.
and then we can come back to sellers if you want. But for buyers, I know you know this, but the irony is this is the perfect time to buy, right? You have less competition, you have motivated sellers, you have all these things. And so most of the scripting that I follow kind of keys in on it, like the underlying desire of the buyer is, I don't want to interfere with my enjoyment of the holidays. Like
Right.
this feels like work, so if you can downplay the, hey, let me explain why you might want to just tune in right now, and then you talk about motivated sellers and you talk about, there's still inventory out there and there's fewer buyers competing for them,
Right.
and really emphasize, what if we did this? What if we only scheduled showings when it was a true candidate and it was just a quick hit? We'll see one at a time kind of thing. I don't mind doing that. Normally I'm trying to get, let's see, 4 to 6 and hopefully find one, right? But
Right.
this time of year, because of that recognition that they're trying to protect their own time with family,
Sure.
quick hit is usually something that'll get them off the couch. I literally sent a text yesterday to one. They're kind of an interesting sort of avatar. They're hoping to truly lay the wood to a seller, like
Mm.
aggressive, low ball, and I'm always encouraging. One of the things I often do with people like that is let them lose several in a row, but then you start emphasizing, we lost the last one by this much. Maybe we shouldn't be as aggressive, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we've yet to buy something, and I've been working with them most of 2025.
Wow.
And so I literally texted them yesterday, and I asked them, is there anything you want to see, or are you planning to take the time off for the holidays and kick it off in the new year? Because I want to initiate this exact conversation with him. If
Right.
if he says the latter, then I'm going to come right back with what we just talked about, because that's their hot button. Like, that's the irony,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
especially for
interesting.
somebody that is trying to be a cheapskate, right?
Right. Right. So when you say laying the wood, they're trying to hit them on the price point, concessions, everything, everything.
Yeah, yeah. Like they're looking in the 1.3 to 1.6 mil price range. I'm in Seattle, so our median is $1 million.
Sure.
And but offering 2 to 300,000 below,
Wow.
which you can get away with at this time of year if it's somebody that's been languishing on the market
Sure.
for a while. But
Sure.
um, it's they're super nice people, and they're caring, and they're like, we don't want to embarrass you with our offers, please tell us. And I'm like, hey man, you don't get what you don't ask for.
Sure.
So I don't mind
Absolutely.
asking, and I always end it with, as long as we learn from it, like
Sure. Absolutely.
every offer, let's see if we can glean some information and use
Yeah.
it for the next one.
No, I love that. Yeah, I haven't used that because I'm the same way. I'll try to get together 4, 5, 6 showings, but I do like kind of that strategy of saying, "Hey, let's focus on the one that you think is the one. Let's go look at it. We say it's in time for you. You can enjoy time with the family." So I love that.
You can do it in 45 minutes or whatever. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Gets them out there, gets them moving. So I love that. Thank you so much for that.
yeah. It's the same dialogue you would use in June if it's somebody who, like, you've had clients where they're like, oh, I'm more busy than you'll ever be type attitude, right?
Sure.
And I'll use the one hit wonder in that circumstance too, because, you want them to think you're respecting their time. And
Yeah.
now
No, that's awesome. I love that.
I will touch on the seller part of this just since we're recording it in case somebody watches this later.
Sure.
I actually around October, I start using a dialogue that gives them the option, right? Because when you have somebody that says, is now a good time to sell? You don't really want to answer until you know what their financial position is, right? Because if I say no and they are in a hardship, they're going to go and talk to other agents and find somebody that likes selling in the fourth quarter.
Makes sense.
If I steer them to yes without knowing that they don't need to sell, they could wait, that sort of thing. So when they say it is now a good time to sell, or this is a terrible time to sell, isn't it? Whatever the theme is, I'll say there's good reasons to sell in the fourth quarter and there's other reasons to wait. What's your circumstance? So I'm not really giving an opinion yet. And then
Right.
and then they'll say, well, we got to get out of here. And if they're steering towards or leaning towards it's urgent circumstance, I'll follow up with, hey, you know what? December is my third highest transaction volume month of the year. And they go, really? And I go, yeah, because at this time of year, people that are selling are usually selling because they need to. And people that are buying are usually buying because they want to get in before the holidays.
Right.
And then layer on top of that, tax implications can be the big motivator as well, right?
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, I just had that circumstance last week too, where they asked me, "Hey, is now a good time to sell the house?"
Yeah.
And I answered. I did not go with that, whereas I should have.
That'd be a little more evasive, right?
Yes, I love that. I love that. So that's a great point. That's awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah. And if they say, like I just had one last year that they were like, you're the third or fourth agent we've talked to, and every agent we talk to says we're being stupid by insisting on listing after September 30th, because this conversation was like July.
Okay.
And I said, well, what's the motivation? They said, we have two daughters, both are getting married in September. We just don't want to deal with it till after.
There you go.
I'm like, no problem. December's my third highest transaction volume month of the year anyway.
Right.
But then I said, do you want to make sure you sell before the end of the year, or do you care if it's in the new year?
Right.
They said, the house is free and clear, so we don't care either way. We just want to know what your advice is. So when I have that environment, I'll be straightforward. In an appreciating market, a home that sells in January is going to sell for more than it would have in December.
Sure.
Right? And that's even without the pressure of the holidays and the aggressive buyers and all the, more severe negotiation that happens. I don't say that to the seller, but what I say is, if you can wait, we actually target the third Thursday in January every year. And they look at you like, what? And let me back up one sec to give context. Anytime you're talking to somebody, when you have clear plans and steps and a process that you follow, that fills them with confidence, right? So when I'm very specific about the third Thursday, they're intrigued and they want to know why. And I go, well, here's what happens. Buyers wake up on New Year's Day, their phone in their hand, hungover, right?
Right.
And they think, you know what? This is going to be the year that we buy a house, honey.
Make it happen.
And start looking, right?
Right.
And if we do it on the third Thursday, that will give them time to talk to their lender and get pre-approved, or talk with my lender, whatever. And we'll handle it that way. And they go, oh, now one caveat for this year is the third Thursday is the 15th.
Oh,
which really is the second week of the month. So we're doing the fourth Thursday.
Okay.
And the reason I should have started with why Thursday even matters. This ties back into that whole, we do the same thing every time because it gives us the right results every time.
Sure.
And the dialogue is our system works best if launched on a Thursday because that gives buyers brokers the opportunity to schedule their showings for the weekend. And so we're very deliberate about clicking it live Thursday afternoon. So it's at the top of the hot sheets, it's at the top of the searches, etc. And then they hear that and they go, okay, no one's ever said that to me. You're smart. You got a plan. I want to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, love that. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'd never heard that one before. I'm gonna steal that one too, Ed.
Go for it, man. That's why I do this every Friday. Good morning, Rick. Nice to see you. There's actually, John, a website. I don't know. Do you have a Chat GPT account?
I do.
Yeah. So even if all you have is the free one, you can still get access to my custom GPT. And all you have to do is go to whatwouldEdSay.com.
What would Ed say on chat, correct?
Just go to that URL and it'll take you into chat. And if you already got chat open, just search under custom GPTs, the public market, just search for Ed Laine and you'll find a couple of them, but that's the scripting one.
Okay, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. My apologies. This is my first day on this. I just joined with VAM, which is who I'm getting this through. So my
cool.
apologies thanks for the context on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love VAM. Josh and Kyle are awesome.
Yeah, they've been fantastic so far. Yeah, no, great. That's awesome. Thanks for the tips.
What market are you in?
I'm in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, my brother lives in Fort Collins, which is north of you. Is that
About an hour and a half north of us on the northern front range of Colorado.
okay?
Yeah.
Good morning, Jessica. So, for those of you that joined a little bit later, we're kind of doing a free form today. Usually I have some content and specific scenarios that I give the scripting for, and then we open it up at the end for questions or dialogues that you guys need. Today, I'm just doing Stump the Band. So if you've got a scenario that you're facing or are curious to know what I would say in a scenario, please share it. We just covered with John what to say to buyers and sellers during the holidays. You know, buyers that want to wait till after. That's a mistake, but you got to say it in a gentle way. So Rick and Jessica, do you guys have a scenario that you're facing right now that you'd like to know what I would say? You're muted, Rick.
Sorry, I always go up to my picture up on top and try to click there and nothing happens. I'm like, why won't this unmute? Go down to the bottom and because it's hard. That bar, is hidden until I move my arm there, so I'm not looking for it there. Anyway, sorry. I don't know what I don't know right now, so I don't even know what to ask. We're waiting on a lender right now. She just picked somebody yesterday.
Okay.
I'll wait for that conversation to happen. As far as I know, that I'm waiting for that, and then we can write an offer. So that's I've been just trying like mad to just get to your curriculum, and every day I've got so much going on. I haven't been able to even get to that. I just got logged in to make sure that worked yesterday. I went to your Zoom with Ed this morning, and I'm sitting there for 5 minutes wondering, why isn't this working? So I had to go back to my notes to figure out I was in the wrong place. Anyway.
Yeah, that's all right. So Rick is just joined my team, and we meet 5 days a week at 9 a.m. on zoomwithed.com, and we do basically it's Q&A. The interesting thing about that meeting is I've been doing that 5 days a week since 2016.
Wow.
Long before COVID, long before Zoom even existed. It used to be Ring Central was the platform we used. But here's the reasoning. I was the designated broker. That's what we call the managing broker here in Washington. For my own company, we had 150 brokers in 2 states. And I would get got a minute questions all day long. So I just started herding them to a specific time because that would open up time for me later in the day.
Sure.
And you'd be amazed. It literally helped us stay out of lawsuits frequently because people would bring up things and I'm like, whoa, you can't do that. Don't do that. Right.
Yeah.
But it also allowed people to feel like, hey, I'm never more than 24 hours away from getting the undivided attention of I'm 2026 will be my 39th year in this business.
Wow.
Okay? So I've seen it all and done it all. And so having a second set of eyes, I'll even have people join that are 30 years in the business. As you guys know, regardless of how long you're in, there's times where you'd love to get a second opinion. And right. And if you know that you can get mine tomorrow morning at 9, or actually here in 45 minutes today, that's an extra benefit. And we're with EXP, which that meeting also serves as kind of a glue for making people feel connected because, being a cloud-based brokerage, real estate's a lonely business if you don't have a tribe. So good morning.
It scares the crap out of me when you say all that stuff. This is your 39th year. You've been doing this daily thing since 2016. I am so afraid you're going to stop doing this and say, I've been doing this since 2016. I'm done. I'm tired of this crap. And I want to suck the life out of you before that happens. And I'm so good at that. That's going to happen sooner than later.
Well, I got bad news for you, Rick. I'm not going anywhere. Those of you that are familiar with the EXP model, it's got passive income, right? So yes, there's absolutely a point in the future, and it's probably only 2 years away for me where I'll stop selling houses. Right now, I still sell 40 to 50 homes a year. But once my rev share gets to the point where I don't need to sell, I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to coach and support brokers because you want to know the underlying reason? Have you seen the studies of how quickly people die when they retire?
Yeah.
That ain't going to be me, brother. Rick, I got good news. Hopefully it's good news. I'm going to coach and train and do this until I die. So, that's my plan, at least. The beautiful thing though, is once I don't have to sell houses anymore, I can do this from anywhere. So you may see me on a beach with a Mai Tai, but I'll still answer questions and coach and train. So
That's awesome.
good morning, Aaron. Good morning, Hazel. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Christina, as well. We normally, I have like a slide deck and we cover specific scenarios and scripting for that. This morning, I'm actually just doing a free form one called Stump the Band, which is if you guys have a scenario that you're in right now or one that you're curious about and would just like to know what I would say if I were in the same circumstance, feel free to come off mute and share it. We just covered what to say to buyers and sellers during the holidays. We can cover anything. And then the other thing I'll plug is I created a custom GPT, and in the knowledge base, I just uploaded all of these scripts. So if you go to whatwouldEdSay.com, you can ask it, hey, I got a seller that's trying to get me to discount. What would Ed say? And it'll spit out 8 objection handlers for discounting. So make a note of that URL and let me know how it works for you. And by the way, you do need to have a ChatGPT account, but it can be the free one, so you can get access.
And just to confirm, Ed, you said it's whatwouldEdSay.com?
Yeah. I can actually put it on the screen here, just so you can see it.
Yeah.
And yeah, right there. What would Ed say? I'll put it in the chat.
Good morning, Ed. Thank you for doing this call, by the way. It's
Yeah.
nice to spend your
Nice to
time.
meet you, Jessica.
I just had a question. So I have a seller that I'm working on right now, and her situation, she has some renters that are in her house. They're behind 3, 4 months. She's currently working with the courts to try to get them evicted, but she told me that when she went in there, they weren't very um it didn't sound very promising. That they told her that, the courts here in Colorado, they're very slow to move. They'll sometimes give them extra time. They've seen people in homes for like over 12 months. That's kind of the situation. Obviously, she can't sell with them in the home, so she's kind of just waiting on that. What would you do, or what would you say in this situation? Would it just be constant follow-up?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Jessica. And it sounds like you're already doing the right things, but I'll cover it just so everyone else knows.
Okay.
The most states, they're very tenant friendly and anti-landlord, right? And cities in particular can be more or less landlord friendly. So like I'm in the Seattle market. I don't live in Seattle proper, and I would never buy a rental in Seattle proper because they screw landlords. And I own several rentals. None of them are in Seattle. So that's the first thing to understand is you're in Colorado, but is there extra, pressure in the city that her property is in? And really the key thing, and it sounds like you may have already done this, Jessica, the key thing is to make sure you've got the right attorney, because an attorney that hasn't dealt with this issue will make mistakes. And most of the laws around this say that the timeframes start over if you file something late or file it incorrectly. So you want to make sure you're dealing with somebody that's kind of traveled that road before. And then outside of that, just be a support system for your seller, like emotional support. You guys all know we're a hell of a lot more than just realtors, right? We're babysitters and counselors and marriage counselors and all that. So be empathetic and a support system for the seller and be encouraging, because she's in distress. She's got a property that probably has a mortgage payment that she hasn't received any income on for 4 months. That sucks. And if you both are in contact with the attorney and making sure that things are getting filed at the right time frames, ask lots of questions, ask them when's that due, and then put a calendar reminder in your phone for the day before it's due, just like you would with contingencies, right? I do that with any offer. If the inspection's due on the 5th, I put a reminder in my phone on the 4th. If the close date's the 20th, 19th, all that kind of stuff. Same thing here, because the legal system will move with glacial speed if you let it, but you can always, you can rely on the time frames. You just got to police them, if that makes sense. In the end, sellers can sell occupied properties subject to the lease, and then the buyer has to assume the lease. The problem you have in this circumstance is nobody's going to buy it with an uncooperative and delinquent tenant. So you're smart to be doing what you're doing. I can't really offer you any advice that would make it happen faster, other than shepherd it along, make sure that the timelines are being met, and then be a support system for your seller.
Hey, Ed,
Yeah.
I have a small suggestion. Maybe if her attorney hasn't suggested this is just cash for keys, give the tenant $5,000, $10,000. Sounds like a lot. You're not going to want to do it, but it's in the end, it's cheaper than them ransacking the place, living for free for a month, paying for an attorney.
Yeah.
Just go in with $10,000 and say cash for keys, 30 days. I'll give you $10,000 if you're out of here.
Wow. I've done that, Jessica, probably 250 times, because I am a big REO broker. So I represent banks on their listings too. I do everything: luxury, investors, first-time home buyers, but I've sold over 1,000 bank-owned properties. And in that time, I had about 250 cash for keys circumstances. hard part, it used to be easy to get people to accept it, right? Because the dialogue was, hey man, here's the deal. The bank's willing to give you 10 grand and 30 days if you sign an agreement that says you'll leave on the 30th day and leave it broom clean and free of personal property and debris. If you don't do that, they're going to give the 10 grand to an eviction attorney. And in Washington State, it only takes 20 days to evict. So your choices are 20 days and no money or 30 days and 10 grand. What do you want to do? And the choice would be obvious, right? You haven't been able to evict in 20 days in Washington State for about 6 years now. So that dialogue is useless. I've got two of them right now that are in eviction status. One of them was in Washington State, a trustee sale. We're in a non-judicial foreclosure state. What that means is we use trustees to handle foreclosures instead of courts. I don't know about Colorado, but I think California is a trustee state as well. Aaron, you might know. The point I'm making is this particular one was a judicial foreclosure. And the reason that's an important distinction is in a trustee sale, the redemption period actually expires before the auction, 11 days before the auction. In a judicial foreclosure, it expires 8, 10, or 12 months after. So this family, this husband and wife, they've lived in this house. The redemption expired in December of 2024. So they lived for 8 months without owning it. Now they've lived for another 12 months. And they agreed to cash for keys twice and then refused to sign. It's just been a disaster. And I've told the bank, give the money to the eviction attorney. And you want to know the really sad thing? The husband has health issues. The wife is a realtor. And she has sold my listings before. She knows me. So we have rapport. And I'm like, look, I'm just trying to help. I'm empathetic, just like I told Jessica to be with her seller. I'm an empath by nature, so I'll always treat people in this circumstance with respect and be encouraging. But I also know the boundaries, right? Like the bank's going to say this, and they're going to wait until this date. You have that long to accept it, and that's going to be it, right? Well, in this case, that date came and went, and I went to the bank and I said, they're still leaning towards doing it. Can you give us extra time? And they did, because they don't want to kick people out in the snow. Mm-hmm. Not that we have much snow here in Seattle, but they don't want to kick people out. If they can get a cash for keys agreement in place, it's just a lot easier. And then the people don't trash the house like Rick pointed out. So that's definitely something that is worth talking about, Jessica, with your client. They may not have 5 grand or 10 grand to offer, but if they have a rich relative that might lend it to them, maybe they could make the ask.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you both for the advice.
Yeah, great idea, Rick. You don't get what you don't ask for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, who else has a scenario? We're at the bottom of the hour, so I hopefully this was valuable. It's the first time I've not just come to this meeting with a slide deck, so I appreciate you guys participating. Anybody need a last minute help on anything?
Ed, I've got one last one. Or go ahead. Anybody here?
Something quick. I was just gonna say I pulled that link off of the chat, and it's taking me to a site that says it can't be reached.
Huh. Are you logged into your ChatGPT account?
Let me double check. Let me double check before you do that.
Well, and the other thing, Aaron, if in the end, if it doesn't work, just log into your ChatGPT account, go to the custom GPT section. Mm-hmm. There's a public marketplace for custom GPTs, and just search Ed Laine, and you'll find it there.
Okay.
John, you said you had one more question?
Yes, if you don't mind, one more. So I've got a scenario. I've got a listing appointment coming Monday. family that I sold a condominium to 4 years ago, and they're in a situation where assessments have gotten a little bit out of control. Basically, long story short, their HOA fees have almost doubled since they purchased the condo. They want out, basically. There's apparently a new assessment meeting coming up, and they don't know what additional HOAs are going to be thrown on top. So they're asking me, John, what do we do? Do we unload this now? What are our plans? So my question to you is, how would you handle that scenario?
Great question. And I've handled that issue probably 40 times because of the REO stuff. There's been a lot of people walk away, and then it goes back to the bank, and then I get the assignment with 40 grand worth of dues or assessments. Here's how I explain it to people. Your unit has a market value. The assessment is going to come off the top. And we just have to understand that. And you need to explain that in a way that is gentle but direct, and then give them time to grieve, because that's bad news, right? They're hoping to sell it for 400 and let someone else handle it.
Right.
If it's worth 400 and there's 20 grand worth of assessments, they're only going to get 380. Right? And you want them to grieve that discount that they're going to have to pass along, understand it, and then embrace it, because the next part of the conversation, whether it's in the same conversation or follows a day later or a couple days later, is, okay, now that you understand that, here's the thing we got to think about. A financed buyer won't be able to finance the assessment. So the most likely buyer we're going to sell to, if they're financed, is going to be somebody that pays 400 but then asks you to pay the 20, rather than an investor who might offer 380 or 370 and say, I'll handle it, right? Because the lenders aren't going to allow the buyer who's financed to finance it.
Right.
And that's why you kind of have to two-step it. You got to let them grieve the, oh shit, we have to eat that? That sucks. I have one of these right now, John. Well, just got the assessment for 2026. It's another 8 grand. And my client's like, well, can we get a buyer to pay that? I went right into this dialogue because the answer is no.
Yeah, same scenario for me, and thanks for the tip on that. Meeting with Monday, and I think their new assessment is about 6 grand as well. They're ready. They want to know what the next step is to unload.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit analogous to like when a buyer or a buyer's agent tries to tack the closing costs on and bump the price up to cover it, right? Like we're still figuring out a way to get this 6 grand covered. We just can't discount the price and ask the buyer to pay it because their lender won't close at the discounted price.
Right. Thanks so much for that. I appreciate that.
Come back next week and let us know how that conversation went. All right.
Well, I'll second.
Hey, nice to meet everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. If I don't see you, have a great holiday, and I'll be here next Friday.
Right on. Happy holidays. Thank you.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.